Annyeonghaseyo! Hi everyone, this is Ariel, one half of Soju for Two, and today's video is a real talk video. I'm starting this series because I've gotten a ton of emails and tweets and Tumblr questions about life in Korea and specific things. So I'm going to start out pulling no punches and going to start with feminine products. Guys, you may feel like, oh, I don't need to watch this, but you have girlfriends, you have wives, you have daughters, you have mothers, so this is important to everybody. I got a panic email from a subscriber who's been in Korea for a week and had no idea what to buy and was really confused. So I'm here to help and give you guys some information. Now, as you guys know, I'm from North America, I'm American, and I can compare to American products. Obviously, I know about them, but I'm just going to sort of give you my point of reference so you guys understand. In America, women use pads and tampons. Tampons I always preferred. In Korea, definitely pads are preferred. So I think that's definitely a personal preference, obviously, and I'll sort of tell you what options there are. If you go into a grocery store, department stores in Korea, even the really expensive ones, usually have a grocery store on the bottom level, like in the basement. So you can definitely find them there in your local bodega, like little local shop. Also 7-Eleven, GS, those are all convenience stores. They all have them, so you definitely won't have a problem finding it. It's just knowing what you're gonna get. So I'm gonna start out with the sort of small stuff first. So this is a panty liner, and if you can get to focus, it says any day tiny, so teeny basically. So if you can read the Korean, that's easy. If you can't, there's literally like no English on these packages. So when you see it on the shelf, it looks like this, and you can tell it's going to be small because the package is small. But if you want to know how big and everything, turn it on its side. This is what I'm going to recommend for everything. You can see here's our picture. This one, they're doing in millimeters. It is 150. And you can sort of see there's no wings. It's a panty liner. So the picture tells you what it looks like and everything about it. That's the most important thing. And if you live in a foreign country, you know pictures are invaluable. So definitely check that out. Here's what it looks like. I've already opened these because I filmed this once without any audio. So this is what it looks like, just like an American panty liner, very similar. This one has lovely florals. And this company is sort of, this is Kotex brand. So it's actually one of the few like Kotex or Tampax. You can find them here, but they are a little bit different. Obviously, they're going to be in Korean. Now, the next one are sort of two pad options that I would recommend you're going to see that are really, really common. So let's talk about this one first. If you can read Korean, which I don't know, if you've been here for a week, you probably can, this says "hoite," which is white. So that's all that you're really getting. And then it says here, super cup, which is what they're referring to in this picture. Now, what information do you need off of this? Here, this says 18 kip, which means how many are in the package. There's 18 pads in this package. Again, I recommend turning it on this side. This is the information you really want. Let's see if I can get to focus. The highlighted green one here, that's the one we're looking at. And this one is 24 centimeters. So this I'd say is a regular size pad. If we look at the pad, it has the green packaging, just like this one. We open it up. It's going to look very familiar. This is really like an American style pad, and this is the super cup they're talking about. I recommend this if you're like a regular flow girl. 24 centimeters is probably what you want. It's a little bit bigger than you might be used to, but they're definitely bigger, I'd say, in Korea than back home for the most part, and definitely thicker. They don't have the super thin ones that we have back home that aren't panty liners. Sorry why everything falls over. The next one, this is the brand I usually use because for some reason when I see this little cotton bud, I'm like, ooh, it's organic, it's soft, that's what I want. I don't know, they've sold me with this cotton bud. So this is the brand I always get. This is, if we can see the information we need to know here, there are 14 in this package, and these are going to be a little thicker and a little bit bigger. These, if we turn it to the information side that we want, 26 centimeters, and you can see the picture has wings. We can see the shape of it, so that's really important. It's telling you all the information you need to know basically just by looking at the picture. I'm focusing. So that's really important. If you want to see this one, I would say compared to the one I just looked at, like it feels a little bit thicker, but like a little bit like softer. If we look at it, it's very plain, very simple. I'll just white, but I do think these are a little bit more absorbent, if that makes sense, and they're a little bit wider. So I prefer these compared to the first one I showed you. They are the same brand, it's just the style. So I like this cotton bud. I'd go for this one. And then the last type of regular pad or pad that I'll show you is this one. Now, if we look, let me show you this way, at the picture, you can assume it's nighttime because we have the moon here. And in Korean, this says overnight. But if you can't read Korean, you can just look at the picture. So try to be as observant as possible if you can't speak Korean. Then we can see the picture here. But as always, this picture is not as helpful, I think, as this. So we can see all the different shapes. Let's see if I can get it so you guys can see. All the different shapes. This one is here. It's almost the biggest one they make. And it's 33 centimeters. And the biggest one they make is 42 centimeters. So this is overnight. It's much larger. And I think if you have like an extremely heavy flow, this is what you're going to want for overnight. I've never used them in North America, so I'm not sure how it compares. But this is what it looks like. 33 centimeters. Oh, it's fighting me. Sorry, because I already opened these when I showed the last time. It's very, very large. So I don't know if it's similar to American ones. I'm assuming it's similar. Everything else is pretty similar to the American pads. And it's just much more, you just have a lot more centimeter space there. So if you want that, I'd say it's probably pretty similar. So if you look at those pads, I think they're all pretty similar to the American equivalent. The difference in Korea is tampons. If you go to a grocery store and you look at a feminine product aisle, you'll probably have like 30 options for pads and maybe 5 options for tampons. I went to a GS25 and a 7-Eleven, which are different convenience stores, and they both had the same tampons. This says white, again, white. And this is super, which is in English, which you rarely see English on here that isn't like super or cotton. And there's 8 ipge, so we have 8 in here. And we have 3, which is sort of means heavy flow. So this is your super, and I'll show you what it looks like out of the container. So this is the super. As you can see, it's very narrow, very thin. Same applicator that you're used to back home. I've never seen the compact applicators here that we have, like OB or like Tampax Pearl has the small ones. And then I brought to show you an American tampon. This is the one I use. It's Tampax Pearl Super. And I usually use like a Super Plus, which you can never find here. But this is Super American Tampax. And then this is the Korean Super. So I would say that if you are looking for feminine products, this is your difference. The Super in Korean stores and American stores is much, much larger. So if you use tampons, if you need heavy flow tampons, I'd recommend bringing them home or having someone send you. Otherwise, if you're looking for pads, they're going to be the same. The hard part is there's no English. But here's a little helper. If you're just getting here, you don't speak any Korean, go to one of the department stores, Shinsegae, Hyundai, Taepyeong, any of those. And in the bottom level, you usually find the grocery store. Go to the aisle. There's going to be store helpers. Now, maybe you don't speak Korean, but give them like a size idea. And usually they have these books. Literally, it's a book of pads, and it shows you what they look like, and they can show you which one is which. Do your best to try to communicate with them, and that's your best option. It's probably going to be a little more expensive than if you buy it at a convenience store, but for your first like trial at it, I recommend it because they're going to help you, and they'll sort of give you like some pointers. And then later on, once you know, you've been here for a little while, you know which one you like. If you go to places like Olive Young, which is similar to a drugstore, or Watson's, which I think is a Canadian brand, you can get 1+1 deals where like buy one get one. So that's a good way to get a deal on them because you don't really get bulk. Or you go to Costco and you can get bulk. So I recommend going, having someone send them to you, or once you figure out what you like, do it that way. It's not as scary as it seems, but it's definitely something you should know about. And the most important facts you can get on a box is, how many it is, and look for the picture. For tampons, they don't really show you the picture, but if you're looking at pads, this is your best friend. It's going to show you what they look like. It's going to show you how big they are, and just give you all the information that you need, basically, because this part doesn't really give you what you want to know. And there's lots of other words on here, things that mean like absorbent, heavier, lighter, super cup, but that's not as important, I think, as the shape and the size for when you're just getting here. So I hope this is helpful. If you guys have other specific questions or other real talks you want me to do, let me know, and I'd love to help you guys out with the transition to Korea and give you guys as much information as possible. Bye, everyone.